Good day, folks. These are the instructions for Application Project 2 for Finance Accounting 315 Financial Statement Analysis, Spring 2022. A brief summary of the project. It is worth 15 points or 15% of your grade. It builds on SRP 1, which you should incorporate into Part 2. You're telling a story. If I've made comments on SRP 1, you need to address those comments before you move forward. Okay? Fix SRP 1 if my comment requests that you do that so that it can build forward on this. There's 5 distinct parts of the project, and the points for each section are identified as we go through it. It is due no later than 11:59 p.m. on March 23rd. I'll be reviewing and grading them as you submit them. If you're not sure of something or you want a quick review, just reach out. Don't struggle with it to the point that you just don't get it, but do reach out. The submission format is PowerPoint. Do work in Excel and copy and paste into PowerPoint. Use the notes section and make sure when you submit it, you use the Excel worksheet. I do encourage you to use video and audio for those slides that are analytical and explanatory. You doing it verbally can sometimes add much more depth than just having a really crowded slide. The purpose of this assignment, one, is for you to be able to analyze the firm's historical performance starting with the work that you've done in SRP 1. Interpret the investor presentation in 10K. Demonstrate the ability to use and build defined models. Present information in easy-to-comprehend format, balancing too much with too little information. Use notes and attachments. What skills will this develop that you can use in the future? Well, the first one is the ability to read and interpret a 10K, an investor presentation, which is the starting point for any financial analysis. We'll build your Excel skills and develop your presentation skills. So I did go through the whys of this because I think sometimes it's important for you to know why I'm giving you an assignment. Okay, and hopefully that puts it in some context. How will the project be graded? Organization and presentation. Communication demonstrates understanding. You just throw shit out there, that's exactly what it's going to be. It isn't going to be meaningful. Accuracy and computations, important also, 30%. Clarity and depth of responses. Where a lot of folks get this wrong is they really don't understand it. So essentially they're asking a question. So go that next stop and answer that question. Do not use a definition. I know what the definition is. You know what a definition is. Don't use a definition. Look at your presentation before you submit it. Take any definitions out. Integration of topics. Everything relates to something. So we want to keep relating it. I suggest from where we're starting now, everything needs to come back to revenue. How does one area impact the other? How do they relate to each other? Because we're telling that story. Okay, so let's look at part 1. You're only going to earn 2 points for this. Okay. However, this is fundamental to getting everything else right. You can't move forward unless you do this. So the first thing you want to do is extract data from the 10K, which you can get from the website or from Edgar, into Excel. Then create schedules in Excel that you're building in Excel and reference them all back to the data file that you bring over. That way, if you make a change, it'll flow through the entire set of worksheets. First thing, create a summary income statement starting with the oldest year to the newest year. We should use as close to the year ending 2021 as possible. When I say summary, you don't need every single line of the income statement. Look at the income statement. What is the most meaningful to understand your company? What's material? Okay. Then create a 5-year common size income statement and then show the income statement graphically in a meaningful way. Then create a summary balance sheet. starting with the oldest year to the newest. We're eventually going to have a trend that we'll be able to forecast going forward. 5-year common size balance sheet. Okay. Summary cash flow, and it's altogether worth 2. If you need to know what a common size financial statement is, there is a video under background information as to how you do this. So these are summary. I can't tell you that you don't need all the details. You throw all that out, it's very confusing. So summarizing, I think the example shows that. Okay, so extract, summary income statement, select which ones are meaningful, common size income statement, show it graphically, summary balance sheet, common size balance sheet, then summary cash flow. That is the first part. It's worth only 2 points, but you got to get it right to keep going. Task for the second part is we're going to actually analyze the income statement. So the first thing you're going to do is, based on the financial information that you extracted, create a 5-year chart of sales and revenue. You need to break it down into meaningful segments. Okay, they should line up with what you have for your rate and volume drivers. We don't want it in total. Then, identify the annual and 5-year average growth in dollars and percentage on the chart. Labeling is important to understanding it. Then, explain the change in sales for the past 5 years by breaking the dollar change in sales down into the rate and volume components. How much of total dollar amount is attributable to change in volume and rate? So you're going to add the dollar amount you attribute to the rate to the dollar amount you contribute the impact of the change in volume, and that'll give you the total change in dollars for that category. There's a good example of that for you to look at. Again, this is fundamental that if we don't get past this state, the rest doesn't really matter. Then prepare a written commentary on what caused the change in the rate. Okay, it might be easier just to do a slide, put a couple bullets, and talk about it. Then discuss how the company applied 606 and what the impact is from an analytical perspective, if any. What more might you want to know about the makeup of income? Think about that for a second. Once you get the revenue side down, then you can move on. Don't use a definition as a commentary, okay? It doesn't do it. I know what it means, you know. So we're going to continue. Look at the cost of goods sold, cost of sales, cost of revenue. Show a graphical trend of the gross margin for 5 years. Then, in a narrative, relate change in cost of goods sold to changes in sales. What was that relationship move? Compare it to the industry. There is an industry chart out there. Comment and explain any variances in the trend. Review other expenses. Explain any material variances. Provide a detailed explanation. So if you're looking from year to year and on your common size, you see that general administrative runs 5% every year, that's no big deal. Okay, fine. You don't need to comment on that. But if it goes 5% to 10%, we better find out why it went up. Then take a look at the tax provision for 3 years. That will take care of the income statement. There's a lot riding on this. Next, cash flow and working capital. First thing, compute simple free cash flow and free cash flow. Evaluate and discuss the firm's liquidity. Look at it from a quantity perspective, a timeliness or the velocity of it, the quality of it. Show your work in computations. And then, last, complete the stress test. Then, look at capital. What's the capital structure? Determine the relationship and extent of leverage they're using. Evaluate the firm's ability to pay back debt. Determine the firm's additional credit capacity and evaluate it. Last, compute the ROE, return on investment credit for 5 years, and display tabularly and graphically. Comment on the trend in comparison to industry averages. Complete the return on investment. Complete the DuPont analysis. Where are earnings coming from? This project covers everything so far. The preceding items should be covered in a thorough, integrated manner. Consider trends. It's about quantitative and qualitative aspects. You collect data, you organize it, you present it, then you analyze it and tie it all together. What you should expect. Everything you need will be in the 10K or the investor presentation, but feel free to use other resources. This project will take you between 8 and 10 hours. Okay, so plan your time. Visualization and formatting is important. If you do have questions, please let me know as soon as you can so that we can do that. I will be off the grid starting March 10th and back on the grid on March 20th. So if you have questions, try to get to them sooner than later, or first thing Monday morning.